Welcome to the Amazon Legends podcast, where we have real stories about making it big on Amazon. Our guests are CEOs of large companies and entrepreneurs who became powerful sellers, also experts specializing in helping sellers, and both former and current Amazon employees who will give us an insight from behind the scenes. Here's your host, Nick Urison.
Welcome to another episode of Amazon Legends. My next guest today is an author, a podcaster, and an Amazon influencer. So this is the kind of person that you want to hear from. Plus, he's so much fun to talk to. You're going to know exactly what I'm talking about in a second. So he authored Influence, Creation of Credibility. And also, he's currently the host of the podcast, Publish Your Book, and also Motivational Listener. So we're going to learn what that means. So with that, Motivational Listener is actually on a D.Scott Smith co. So that's his position, and he does it very well. So with that, everybody meet my guest, Scott Smith. Welcome to the show, Scott.
Hey, Nick, what an honor to be on the show, Amazon Legends. I'm a big fan. I love listening to your show, and what a privilege and honor. And just, I'm looking forward to the fun of hanging out with you here.
Oh, yeah. We are definitely going to cover some ground, but the honor is mine. I mean, I just enjoy talking to people, but talking to the kind of person that you are, and the knowledge, and also how you make it fun, that's going to be great. So, what I want to start with is something that is becoming increasingly popular, and frankly, a must for Amazon sellers, and frankly, for anybody else. But especially for Amazon sellers to utilize very well. And this is something that you wrote the book about, credibility. And also you are an influencer. So to kind of throw in the mix how this can be leveraged by using the data Amazon provides, because you are now able to track your external traffic coming to your listings by what Amazon calls attribution. So if you are advertising on Facebook, you just simply create a unique ID for those ads, and then people click on it, they make a purchase, you know how much you generated from the Facebook ad. Same thing, influencers, they drive traffic, they have a unique ID. So there is nothing that anybody can say, this is really not something that it's not prior. It has to be prior. So tell us, how does an Amazon seller go about aligning themselves with the right influencer?
All about connection. That's the key, right? It's all about those connections.
Yeah.
And this is the way, of course, we've been doing business for years, right? And before the digital world, it was all about, who do you know? Because I trust you, Nick, and if I need help, then I'm gonna connect to you and say, who's your plumber? Who's your web developer? Who's that influencer that you recommend? Somebody who will understand my product, who will tell the story. And in fact, there was a couple of episodes back with Kelly Rodriguez. Kelly Rodriguez.
Yeah.
All about telling stories. So you want to find somebody who's going to be able to tell the story in whatever form that's going to be. So if it's on Amazon, it's not just the visuals, but it's also the audio. It's also the visual, because Amazon Live is video. And the beauty of video is that we can communicate emotion in a way that you can't with any other format.
Okay, so let's I always like unpacking things. So you listen to a few episodes, you know how I like to dissect things. So the question I had is, I'm going to clarify the question because it really is, it has two angles. One is, how do you find these influencers? That means, where do I go about finding these people? So you are simply saying, go to the people you trust and ask them who would be good. So that's clearly, obviously, is the best way. The second angle is, you setting, like, take Kelly Rodriguez, and what a sweet lady. I mean, this lady, her story for the listeners to get an idea. This lady was working in insurance business as an employee, and she loses her job, gets married, moves to another state, and has a baby. And the next thing is, she says, I don't really want a job. I want to spend time with my kid. And so what can I do? She's thinking, and at the same time, her baby is teething. So she comes up with this idea to create this product called Gumbel. The reason why she called it Gumbel is because she's into health and fitness. So it's dumbbell becomes Gumbel. And she decides, oh, I can sell this on Amazon. And she came to the show. In fact, she reached out to me and said, oh, I listened to some of your episodes. I learned so much. Can I be a guest? I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot. So, I mean, talk about humble. So that's her story.
Mm-hmm.
So this was such a good one. So how does someone like Kelly identify the right kind of influencer for her product? Because it's one thing to, talk nice and then do the thing, but at the end of the day, you have to generate sales. That's what it's about. So what is the criteria? Give us some tips. The sellers can say, this is a good influencer for me.
Yeah, if I was going to be advising Kelly about how to find an influencer specifically on Amazon to promote her product, then I would go to the Amazon Live feed going on now and look at people that are doing similar products, who are doing family, baby products, these types of items, and how are they doing? How many people are watching? Is it just a few, or is it hundreds? I've seen tens of thousands of people watching some of these streams. So are they engaged with their audience? Are they getting comments? That's the first thing I'd do, is to find out. And it doesn't cost her anything.
I mean, look, guys, it's now 8 minutes since we started recording. And look at this tip. It's unbelievable. The reason why this is so valuable is because it's utilizing two new things. One is Amazon Live. For anybody who is listening and does not yet know, check out Amazon Live. These are Amazon Live shows where, as a seller, you can showcase your product and you can schedule it based on category. I mean, it goes on all the time. So it doesn't cost anything. And at the same time, it's great exposure. So that's one. And then now you have a tip to go and check out, who is in your category, and of course, these people have their YouTube channels and everything. They're driving traffic to because they announced it already. They've done all the promotion. So what a great tip, Scott.
That's great. You can find those, find those people, and then you can reach out to them. And then she could enlist them to do the promotion on Amazon Live and make videos for her products. And this is the great thing is that you can make videos and place them, these shoppable videos, on your product page, on your company's page. And just to explain what a shoppable video is for folks, if I say, oh, go watch my product promotion on Amazon, on YouTube, let's say go watch it on YouTube. And then if you want to buy the product, then you have to go somewhere else to buy it. But on a shoppable video, the link is right there. And that's what Amazon is. It's a shoppable video. So when people are watching a demonstration on how to use Gumbel, Kelly's product, if they like it, they click and add to cart right then. And they can either send it to themselves. And this is the beauty about Amazon, is they can get it sent to themselves, but maybe they want to give it as a gift to a friend. Type in their address and send it to them.
Yeah, I mean, this is great. So shoppable video. So who's creating that video? You are creating that video by recording the live event, and then afterwards you're converting it into a shoppable video format, and then posting it wherever, right? Wherever you need to post.
So the Amazon Live videos all have a unique URL. So they're going to stay permanent. So she can always put that on her social media, on her website, in any promotion. And when people click, it'll take them right to that video where the product is. Then you can also make videos. You can say, edit that down into a short stream, a little short video, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it takes to explain the product, and then place that onto the product page on Amazon as well. And it's just another way to explain the video. It's or to explain the product through video and differentiate you from the competitors, because there are other baby products out there that are similar. Mm-hmm. But when you see this one actually being used and you see that baby's hand holding onto it and chewing on it, it's just, your heart is going to be moved. And again, this is telling that story, which is what she talked about. And this is what we can do with the Amazon videos, with the Amazon Live and the whole influencer program.
And it's also great as a way for you to bring more content into your listing in an approved way, so to speak, because it's Amazon. It's not, you're not doing something else. You're not putting content there to divert traffic outside Amazon. It's right there. It's produced by Amazon. It's the Amazon platform, and you're gonna make the purchase on Amazon. I mean, this is in every way such a creative way to do it. So I want to move on to another aspect of the influencer engagement. So people listening, some of them I'm sure have done research and they found these influencers, and some of them are real hot shots. They've got thousands of followers. They're not going to do this for free. So give us some tips about engaging influencers. What appeals to them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, you want to find influencers that have an affinity to the type of product you have. So it could be electronics, could be makeup, could be home goods, could be kitchenware, could be sporting goods, but find someone who has an affinity with it and a passion, because that's going to come through on the video. And then of course, you're hoping to sell product. I mean, that's the main goal. So you want to get some sort of movement out of that broadcast, but it's not always instant. So one of the things is that person, do they come across as credible, or does it come across as the kind of cheesy used car sales pitchman for the product? You want to come across in today's world, and when you listen to podcasts and they do the promotion, they want to promote their sponsor. We don't have commercials in the old days. The host will come on and say, my wife and I were thinking about a romantic getaway. And so this winery, blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't come across as I'm doing a commercial for the winery. It comes across as I'm just talking to you, Nick, my friend, and says, this was really great. Maybe it would be good for you and your wife to go to this winery. And it comes across as not as a commercial, but as two friends talking. And that's what you want on that influencer, because you're going to use that video more than, it's not just the one time it's broadcast. It's not the sales that you generate from there. It's the evergreen content that comes out of this.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way. I mean, this kind of stood out to me, kind of subliminally, but I never really put my finger on it the way you did in terms of commercials in these talk shows. Talk shows are the best example of it. And in fact, talk radio did this very well. And all these talk radio hosts became very successful. So, and it is exactly what you say. I'm now thinking about some of those. And 1 minute you're listening to the guy. He's clearly an authority, not like a talking head, but someone who's knowledgeable in the area. And you're listening to the guy, and he's giving you his take on a particular event, citing certain constitutional aspects of it and whatever. And then the next thing he says to the producer sitting there, he says, Mr. Producer, my wife and I bought this wine. We found this website, and then we subscribed to it, and they gave us an offer. And then the next thing is like you're already halfway into it, and you think, oh my God, I better try this, because first of all, you trust the guy, and then the second, it was such a soft entry into it, and it's coming straight from the horse's mouth, right? So. This is a great example for influencers. That's what you want from the person, right? I mean, this is what you're referring to.
Yeah, and so it might be something, and we'll just continue on with Gumbel, and let's just say she was sponsoring it, and so my wife and I do a show on Amazon about empty nesters. So we're the kids have moved out, and now we have the empty nest. And we talk about what it's like and the products that we use and how we use them and so forth. And let's just say my daughter, who is newly married, a year now, let's just say they had a little baby. And so if we have a grandbaby, so we might just be talking, we were looking for something for a gift, and we came across this little dumbbell, and it's beautiful, it's packaged well. And when my daughter opened it, she was so happy. And then to watch our grandbaby playing with it. And again, it's not, you need to buy this, available for this price at this location. That's a commercial, but just that story, just that engaging and hitting that emotion. That's the beauty of a really good influencer.
Emotion, right? Emotion.
Yeah.
Because I've had a few episodes talking to different people, and it's all about emotional contact. So how do you connect your listing, your product, to the buyer emotionally? And that all that comes out of the content you have. Your pictures are key. Your title doesn't matter anymore because they are already on your page. So your bullets are obviously there. They look at it. It plays a big role. And your A+ content. And as part of your pictures, you also, if you are brand registered, you also have the video. And what you're talking about is something that you can put in there or any other place. I mean, this is such a great way. And instead of saying buy this and then 2 for $49.95 and 3 for instead you just share the experience. It's such a great way to do it. So as far as the emotional connection aspect, you said something, I made a note. Tell us that again. When you're picking the influencer, you want someone who has passion, and give us that line, because that's such a significant thing you said.
You want someone that resonates with that product, whatever it is. It's something that they feel a connection to. So like I said, if we had grandbabies, that would make sense. If your influencer that you're choosing is also a health and fitness enthusiast, then supplement products would be great, or maybe biking equipment, or certain types of clothing, and they're actually going to say, yeah, I like this because the way it feels, the way it fits, the way when I work out, when I do these things. But they're saying it not off a script, but they're saying it off of conviction.
Okay, so for the listeners' benefit, this is such a significant thing, you said. So I'm gonna kind of put it in a condensed form. So find someone who feels a connection to the product and feels passionately about it and shares experience with the product in an emotional way. That's
Absolutely.
really the essence of it.
Yeah. And we can do a live version of this right now, because the Amazon Legend podcast is available on Amazon. So people can just put in Amazon Legend podcasts, put Amazon Legends in quotes and podcasts, and it'll come up, and then people can listen to episodes of this show. So let's just say I've got your podcast in the carousel, and then you could be a guest or even not a guest, and I can talk about your podcast. And this is the way we would do it, is to say there's a wide open marketplace, and it's Amazon. And in fact, the world goes to the number one search engine in the world is Google.
Mhm.
And they're looking for things there. The number two search engine is also owned by Google, and that's YouTube. And people go to YouTube for DIY stuff. And people go to Instagram and TikTok for entertainment. But the number one search engine in the world for people who are looking to solve problems and buy products is Amazon. And the only reason people are on Amazon is to buy, and that's it. They're there to buy something. They're looking, and their credit card is loaded in, and they hit buy now, and it shows up. And where would you learn about that? How to do that? Do you want to sell? Do you want to know how it works? Listen to the Amazon Legend podcast. It's right here in the carousel. You can click on it and subscribe right now. And this is how we would promote it, because I know how effective Amazon is. I have a passion for it. Your podcast, your product is right there. And we're telling them, this is it. This is the only reason people are here, is to buy stuff. So learn how to sell on Amazon. Subscribe to the podcast right now.
Well, that's great. Thank you for doing that. But this is really the format. It's what it's gonna do for them, rather than how affordably priced or whatever. But by the way, the podcast is free, of course. Anybody can subscribe.
It's free. Yeah, but you can subscribe on Amazon. So
absolutely. So
and
one
wherever
more thing
fine podcasts are found.
Yeah. You mentioned search. So search,
Correct.
of course, Google is the search engine. And you're right. Actually, I never put it in that context. Everybody knows Google owns YouTube, but I never put it in the context of search and also owned by Google. So at the end of the day, people go to Google, period, either Google itself or YouTube, to search something. So that's to find information, whatever. There is one other thing that we want to incorporate into this. Amazon and Google has an agreement. So anybody does a product search, Amazon is the one serving the search results. So
they're right there. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Google is the one-stop shop driven by Amazon if somebody is searching for a product. And of course, that one-stop shop has the YouTube component, and you can pretty much get whatever you want in terms of whatever you're searching. And at the same time, if you are already on Amazon as a seller with your products will appear in those search results. So this is I mean, it's all connected. I mean, these days, 21st century, everything is always connected, right? There's no.
That's right.
It's
That's
so
right.
easy. Maybe too much connection. Maybe that's the problem these days.
But
So
if
I
you're,
want to move on to it. Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you're selling a product, I mean, you have to be on Amazon. And people say, well, you need to do TikToks or you need to do Instagram Reels. And I'm like, but if you're not on Amazon, people can't buy from you. Put your energy there first and
Yeah.
make it available for people to purchase.
Yeah, I mean, from strategic standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. From financial standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. So I had another gentleman who I will mention here, never knew about it, but for listeners' benefit, there is a co-op for e-commerce businesses. So tremendous benefits, events, webinars all the time. And the reason why I bring them up is because one of the founders was my guest, and we were talking about how to build a business to scale. And he put it in such a nice way. He said, well, imagine you want to buy your business. It's somebody else's and you want to buy. It has to offer some value to you. And how would you like it if they said to you, well, I sell only one product. But what happens to that product if it's something happens, Amazon closes the listing? A huge risk, right? So you don't want to be building a business with just one product. And if they said, how would you like it? I sell 100% of my sales are coming from Amazon. That's a big risk because Amazon can do anything, anytime. So he said, you have to just flip the coin and then ask yourself, is this any value to me?
Mm-hmm.
If not, then build it another different way. So the moral of the story is, he also said, because I asked him, which one is the best one to start with? Start on Amazon and move on to your website, or start on your website because it's your place and then move on to Amazon. He says, absolutely Amazon, because you already have the buyers there.
Exactly.
And using Amazon fulfillment service, you don't have to get into fulfillment business. You can just focus on establishing your brand. And then once you have a business volume established, and more importantly, build your infrastructure around running and building an online business.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you make the right decisions and pick the right kind of solutions out there, then you're going to build it for scale, because there's no other way to operate on Amazon. They'll throw you out. So you do this the right way, then the next thing is, you have something that can scale. But he said, at that point, you have to start to look elsewhere. And that's when all these things that we're talking about come into play. So it's a great way to do it. Just don't think about it. Go to Amazon, use Amazon Live, use the influencers,
Yes.
build your credibility. So
Yes.
I want to ask you this, because this is what you wrote the book about. So
Correct.
we understand influencers. Give us some tips on how does a new seller, new brand, new product, so 3 new things.
Mm-hmm.
How do they establish credibility?
Yeah, if I was going to launch a brand new product on Amazon today, I would first of all hire professional writers and professional photographers and videographers to capture good images of the product, and also good, clear descriptions. Because as my wife reminds me, what's clear to me is clear to me. So you need to make sure that it's going to be clear to the readers as well. So when those people are finding your product, they clearly understand what it is. So I'd hire professional writers, professional photographers, and then I would and place it on Amazon, and I would get an Amazon influencer to do an interview, and let's talk about why this product is so much better than the others. Let's talk about the journey of the inventor that created this product, just like Kelly did. She was in insurance. She became a mom. She wanted something different that didn't exist. And that's what entrepreneurs are. They create products to fill problems where no one else has done it before in the way that she did it or the way that they're going to do it. And then I would also use Amazon advertising. And this is something that is little known in many places. People think, well, I'll just put it on there. But just because you have your product on Amazon doesn't mean that your potential customers are going to see about it. But Amazon paid advertising is one of the most cost-effective digital advertising platforms that's out there. From what I've seen, it is so much better than paying either on Facebook, Instagram ads through Meta, or Google ads, either Google search, display, or even video YouTube ads. Amazon advertising is so much better. So that's what I do. Hire professionals, get an influencer, and use the paid advertising.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, paid advertising that's where people struggle, of course, but it's a must, because at the beginning, again, going along the lines of credibility, what is Amazon's way of measuring and displaying credibility? It's the reviews and the ratings. In fact, in the old days, like a year or so ago, they only had, these days 1 year is a lifetime in e-commerce, right?
That's
so,
right.
In the old days, it was just reviews. Now they have reviews and ratings. So there's one other little thing about ratings. So Amazon has these physical stores called 4-star stores. So if your product has achieved 4 stars or more, they actually stock the stores with it, their physical stores. So it's important to have those higher ratings. So reviews come from orders. And for people to place an order, they like to see the review, and that's where the credibility is established. And how do you get this chicken and egg situation? And one of my favorites is Amazon's Vine program. So if you enroll, they'll charge you, but they won't charge you unless they get the review, and it's administered by Amazon. It's much better. So you do all those things, and then you have to pay, as you mentioned, paid Amazon advertising. Because Amazon advertising, it's expensive, and it's getting more expensive. However, it's still cheaper than the others, because only buyers are seeing that ad, right?
And we use what's called, with the advertising, you use what's called return on ad spend, ROAS, ROAS. And on Instagram and Facebook, and even Google, you might find a ROAS of 2 or 3. And if you get better than 3, then you're doing really, really good. But that means if I spend $1, I get $3 in sales. I have the same client that's doing between 2 and 3 on Amazon and Google ads, and is doing a 9 on Amazon ads. That is, they spend $1 on advertising, they get $9 in sales. It's not a hard decision.
No. And there is another thing about advertising on Amazon. So you're right, $1 spent, $3 generated in sales from the advertising. So let's assume that you're doing that on your website. So on your website, if you advertised on Facebook or Instagram or Google, and you brought visitors to the website, and you spend $1 on it, and you got $3. Once they are gone, that's it. The sale is made. Now it's up to you to bring them back to get more out of them. You may do that, you may not do that, but let's assume that you do that. How many times are you going to do that? Because if you bought from my website, especially if you're not buying consumable, then you buy it once and then that's it. Doesn't matter what else you show me, offer me discounts. I'm gonna come back maybe in a year, maybe buy, I don't know, let's be optimistic, 6 times. Okay, every other month I'm buying from you. That's your best case scenario.
Mhm.
However, if you bring somebody to your Amazon listing through Amazon paid advertising, and you achieve that 1 to 3, in the process, your listing will also organically rank up and increase exposure. So that dollar spent that generated $3 on the ads by people clicking on your ad and buying it, you will get more than likely at least another $3 in sales.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Usually more than 3, because whatever paid advertising generates, organic, you'll get more. So let's assume 3. So now your ROAS, there is another term, as you know, TACoS, total advertising cost of sale. So now your paid advertising cost is still $1, but your total
Yes.
is
The total.
3 plus 3 is
Exactly.
6.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is benefit number 1. Benefit number 2, it also ranked you up. So in fact, I had an episode and there was a young gentleman, his name is Shaf. And for anybody listening, check out Shaf Qureshi. Incredible. He's like an Energizer bunny, throwing one thing after the other. And the title of his episode was Making Money by Losing Money. And it was all about this concept. So Amazon advertising. So it's all part of establishing your credibility, right? So that's the way you're looking at it.
Absolutely. And as you said, those reviews are so important, and paying to have those administered, well worth it. Absolutely worth it.
Yeah. So give us some more tips from your book of creation of credibility, because that's what everything is about.
Yeah. And part of this, well, and that book is really focused on helping people write a book. And it goes hand in hand with the podcast, publish your book, because of course Amazon started as a bookseller. It is still the number 1 place in the world for people to buy books. And so when you write a book, there's instant credibility. My wife is getting ready to go to a conference. She was invited to this conference coming up, and she was talking to the event organizer, who was describing who the keynote speaker was going to be. And she goes, and she's published a book. It's like, can't name the book, haven't read the book, haven't implemented anything in the book. And yet the keynote speaker wrote a book. Well, using this process, influence, creation of credibility, my process, my wife has actually published 2 books.
Wow.
So she didn't say, oh yeah, well, I've published 2 books, but it's just one of those things, is that when you publish a book, the next time you go on the stage, it's not just podcaster Nick, it's author of.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's just that we ascribe value to that. And that's we ascribe credibility and therefore influence to that person. And so I recommend that anyone that's going to be in the public at all should take their knowledge and put it into a book and publish it here on Amazon, or publish it on Amazon. It's free, by the way, for people to publish on Amazon. Even and the books are print on demand. So in the old days, you had to buy 5,000 copies of your book. Now you just write your book, upload it to Amazon, and it costs you nothing.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, for anybody establishing credibility, tell me what your take is on an idea I have. about, again, establishing credibility. You have a product. Write a little handbook about your product, not about
Correct.
your product, but about what your product does.
Mhm.
And then that could be part of your material, your content. So now you will be the author of it. So what is your take on it? Is that a good idea?
Absolutely. So let's just go back to Kelly's product, and she could write a little book about uh, some of the engagements and the activities, and again, telling the story in a little book. And we're talking like a short form book, 20 to 40 pages. So it wouldn't take her that long to write it. And now she's not just the inventor of this product, she's also the author of this story. And just to give people an idea, there was a lady named Barbara Carnes who was in the hospice, the end of life industry as a registered nurse. And back in 1985, she wrote a little book called, it's 15 pages long, called Gone From My Sight. And it sells on Amazon for $7.99. Since 1985, she's sold 35 million copies
Oh
of
my
that
God.
book. So I'm just saying that if you're thinking that short is valuable, it's actually probably more valuable, because Kelly could talk about this one specific thing, interacting with your child. And it's not just the product, but it's all those things and the emotions and the stories that go with it. So now
Yeah.
she's got 2 items.
Exactly. I mean, this is, and also it's this storytelling, right? That's really at the end of the day what people like. It's and how you tell the story, and put in that story your own experience, and then express the emotions that go with it, how you feel, how you felt when you first discovered it, and things like that. It's so valuable. You know, why it makes it so incredible to do this is because it's authentic. You can't make it up. It's something that you've done yourself, and it's 100% authentic, and people see it. Otherwise, they'll know exactly it's fake. Somebody's selling.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah. And so this process of writing a book in influence creation of credibility, it's a 12-week process. So you can actually publish a book, course, and webinar in 12 weeks if you follow the plan. Now, I've applied this because I do coaching and consulting with businesses. And so we have a book coming out. It's in pre-order right now. That's called Freeze: Inaction in the Face of Business Crisis. And it's all about solo entrepreneurs and small businesses that when we face crisis in our business, and it could be big like a pandemic, it could be small like the loss of a key employee or non-renewal of a lease, or some other specific to our business event. It's fight, flight, or freeze. And in so many cases, like in the pandemic, businesses froze. So and now we're in the midst of an economic crisis and a supply chain issue for businesses. So Veronica Jeans and I said, you know what, we have experience around this. Let's put it into a book that we can get published. And we did it in less than 3 months, from the concept to writing the book to final edit, cover design, and everything to Amazon. And so now we're able to solve a problem and help businesses address a very specific thing that they can do because we shared this through Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. You know, there is another concept, which is exactly what you are doing with the book approach, in a way that you speak from experience and you share with people the things that you've done. So I I love movies, but I love movies for many reasons. So when I watch a movie, my friends say, "You're crazy. How many times have you seen this movie?" And it's still not fair. So when I'm watching movies, I'm watching the production itself in terms of how well it's put together. I'm watching the script, of course. The script is very important. I'm watching the acting. I'm watching the picture itself. There's all different aspects. It's like going to a museum and sitting in front of painting and looking at it all day and coming back the following day again. I don't do anything like that. I don't understand it. However, I understand how somebody would be interested, because that's how it is with movies. So, and I have friends in movie industry with great success. And I've done some creative writing training, so to speak. And out of all this, there is one line that came out that I apply myself. They say that when you're putting together a story, show, don't tell. In other words, do not start writing a story describing somebody. He was 42 years old, he had gray hair, and then he had the line. No, just describe the events in his past that made him that the reader automatically understands. And in the meantime, you've described the person and you read the story, right? So speaking from experience, writing from experience does exactly that, and people will identify with it.
Absolutely. And the best stories are the ones where you can put yourself in there and you would think, would I make that same decision as that character?
Yeah.
You're as you're reading, as you're experiencing that movie, it's like, don't go in there.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I had another guest, and this was such an incredible person. He came to this country at the age of 3.5 from Ukraine. His parents left and came here. He's now in his like mid-30s. And long story short, they told him, you don't have a college degree, nobody's going to give you a job. When 3 companies he worked for, all Amazon sellers, he learned everything. And then all 3 companies shut down because Amazon moved in on their product lines. So now he's out of a job, he's looking for a job, and they just put him down. Forget it, nobody's going to give you a job, you don't have a college degree. So Ukrainians, we've seen, right? What's going on? They don't play victim. They don't play victim. So he starts his business, consulting Amazon business. This was 5 years ago. He's doing wildly, it's wildly successful, great guy. He said something. He said, people on Amazon are not looking for products. They are looking to see themselves either using a product or showcasing it or showing off.
Sure.
So you have to put the shopper in the picture with the product. So that means, who is your target audience? So right there, put them in the picture, product picture, right? So that's
absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny because some people will complain about Amazon or online sellers in general taking away business, but it's not my experience. It's just like in the 70s when I was growing up, late 70s. People said, oh, supermarkets are going to be the end of the mom and pop grocery store. But there's more convenience stores today than there were ever mom and pop stores. They're everywhere. You go to the gas station and they're nice and they have a good variety, but they have what they need for that market. And so it actually created a new opportunity, different, but new. And Amazon has created new opportunities, different, but they are there. just like your friend who said, okay, I can't do this, but I can do this.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's that's why we wrote the book Freeze, because we said, look, just because something happened doesn't mean, just because it changed doesn't mean there's not a new opportunity.
Mhm.
And we have examples, and I don't want to go through those here, but I will just tell people that whenever there's a threat, there is an opportunity, but you have to be ready for it. And Amazon provides plenty of opportunities.
So you just said something so meaningful again. I mean, this is the it's hard to keep track because I want to make a note of these. Whenever there is a threat, there is an opportunity.
Exactly.
There is a threat, there is an opportunity, but you have to be able to go after it, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of
So
people, they are afraid to do those things,
well,
especially.
absolutely. They're afraid because it's new and it's different and it's not familiar. But your friend didn't know how to consult with Amazon companies because Amazon companies didn't exist, but he knew how to sell. So you take that core, my knowledge is not selling these products. My knowledge is on how to sell products. And whether it's in a retail location, whether it's online, whether it's through a mega company like Amazon, the skill transfers, and he found that skill. And that's the core of what we should be doing.
Yeah, this is just this is something that came up. So let's assume that you are a business leader, entrepreneur, you're running your business, and things have turned, and you don't know which way to go, and we all feel at some point desperate, and we start to question: is this worth pursuing? Should I quit? Throw good money after bad.
Mm-hmm.
Example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I asked this to a gentleman. His name is Mark Toman. He actually has a venture capital fund, 21 portfolios in his 21 companies in his portfolio. So I asked him, what does an entrepreneur do when he or she feels it's time to quit? His answer was, you never quit, you pivot.
Yes, exactly. You make a change. You make a decision. You say, maybe this packaging we thought was going to work, it's not going to work.
Right.
Don't get emotionally attached to it. Make a change. Just to get again, I work with a lot of companies that we find these opportunities in the threats. When the pandemic lockdown happened in March of 2020, a friend came to me and said his parents' business relied on face-to-face trade shows. They sold lab equipment at universities, and they did these little trade shows. That was gone. They were going to lose their business. So we pivoted, started doing online trade shows and fundraisers for nonprofits with the same organization, same type of process. And so that was March of 2020. April of 2020, we had our first contract, $15,000 for a online fundraiser. That was a pivot.
Yeah. I mean, and a successful one too.
Yeah.
So it's great. So Scott, I mean, we can go on forever. There are so many stories and very inspiring, but obviously we don't have time for all that. So tell us a little bit about yourself. First of all, give us where you started. Where did you grow up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I grew up in Oregon, in Corvallis, home of Oregon State University. In fact, that's what brought me to Oregon. Was my uncle, after the Marine Corps, went to Oregon State to run track and go to the engineering school. When my dad got out of the Army, he went there, and I was a baby, and so I grew up here. And for me, except for some time in the Air Force, Oregon is where I choose to live. I've traveled around, and I love going to other places. I really like coming home. And
So
yeah, so this is where I grew up.
I mean, what I'm hearing is discipline runs in your blood. I heard you mention your uncle. I heard you mention your uncle being in the Marine Corps. I heard
Yeah.
you mention your dad in the Army. I heard you mention you being in the Air Force.
Correct.
So it's anybody in the Navy, that way you would have covered.
No one was in the Navy, because you say, if you're in the Navy and you get off work, where do you go?
It's true, you don't, right? So
Yeah.
it's so this discipline is something. How much did that influence your after military your life?
That's a really good question, Nick. I'm glad you asked that. I think that when you're a young person, having structure and a military opportunity really does provide structure. It gets you out on your own in a way, but you have a firm structure, and that helps condition your brain into an orderly and cooperative process, because you can't survive in the military without cooperating with the other folks. It's, they say, drilled into you. And in business and in life, we need each other. You need to work in teams. In fact, studies have shown that the top MBA programs, Masters of Business Administration, the top MBA programs in the country are those that emphasize teamwork. Well, you learn that in the military.
Yeah, it's so true. You know, I watched the clip, ironically, only last night. It was one of those short video clips, and it was by the SEAL team member who shot bin Laden. So he was told, they asked him, who can successfully complete the SEAL training? He says, you know, those athletes, very successful, they show up ready, well conditioned, well trained, they never make it. Those who are like boxers, fighters, and people like that, they never make it. Bodybuilders who lift all these weights, they never make it. He says the people who make it are those who showed up skinny, look very weak, and you get, and he described the hell week where you stay awake from Sunday to Friday. And those are the people who are completely depleted and they completely spent. Others have already quit, and they are the ones standing, and they see the person next to them suffering and about to quit, and they find the inner strength to reach down and give them a hand up. Those are the ones that complete it. So
that
it's
is
about,
great.
it's not
That's
about
a great
strength,
story.
yeah, it's about, you know, those who are prepared to help despite everything, and no matter how bad they are. Those are the ones who complete the SEAL training. Nothing to do with anything other than mental and frankly heart, really, isn't it? And
Yeah, that's fabulous. That's you know, I hadn't really heard that before, but it makes so much sense.
yeah, I mean, it's that's how it is. Nobody succeeds alone. Everybody needs help at some point. And the other thing, and that's a whole different discussion. It's one thing to help people, but it's another to actually be able to accept help, right?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I would say that to be a good friend, it's not just about bringing help to your friend, but it's letting your friends give you help when you need it. That's how you are a good friend.
Yeah. So so tell me, you know, they asked this question. In fact, I saw they asked Shaq. Well, if you hadn't started playing basketball and you did something else, where would Shaq be today? What would you be today? You know what he said? He said, I would be Shaq still.
Of course.
So in your case, bringing that back to you, so if you hadn't had this disciplined upbringing, the culture in the family to give you that disciplined, structured life, where would you be yourself?
Yeah, that's interesting. So technically, based on my birth year, I fall into the tail end of the baby boom generation. But if you look at my attitude, I definitely fall into the whole Gen X, question the system the way it is. And I say, that's really what an entrepreneur is. It says, I don't really like the way it is. I'm going to change it. And in fact, I was at a conference the Clean Tech Open. It's a clean technology business accelerator. So I was coaching businesses through this program. And I took a picture of the tables because the conference room is all set up and the tables and they're this way and the stage and some other seating and things. They had it all laid out. But as soon as all those entrepreneurs came in, they changed everything because they said, no, I want this couch over here because this is where I can see. And they moved their table. I mean, it was just, it's amazing. And that's what I would do is I would still be doing what I do, like Shaq, not like Shaq, but I would be me. I would be changing things to fit the way I think they're going to be best and not accept the status quo.
Exactly. And that's such a great ending to our conversation. So this was great. So Scott, give us your contact information. How can people reach you?
Yeah, easiest way is go to dscottsmith.com. That's my website. And all of my connections are there: LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, whatever way you want to connect with me, my email, my phone number is there. I don't mind. The way customers want to do business with me is the way I want to do business with them.
Well, that's the right formula. Absolutely. In this day and age. So this was great, Scott. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming to the show.
Oh, so much fun. Thank you, Nick. I just generally appreciate spending time with you.
Oh, thank you. And this brings us to the end of another episode, and I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Be sure and subscribe, rate, and review our show. And be sure and share an episode with a friend. And thank you so much for being with us today. We'll see you next week here on Amazon Legends.